Hey guys, Jay from RS Garage. Today I'm down at Fast Forward Racing Engines and we're going to install an ARP 256-4304. It's a 625 plus head stud kit for the Ford Coyote engine. This particular Coyote engine belongs to the guys at Fat House Fab, and it is home to a certain very fast stick shift flat plane Fox body Mustang, which I'm a big fan of. So AJ is going to walk us through the install and we'll talk a little bit about what led us to this 625 material. This particular engine is using a copper head gasket, so there's a stainless wire that's going to be protruding from the deck of the cylinder head, pushing its way through that copper head gasket down into receiver groove in the block. This is a pretty old approach, but a very proven approach for high horsepower, high boost head gasket sealing. Now during my time around the Coyote, we thought one day we'll run 50 pounds of boost. Well, we were there before we knew it. And from there, we went up to 55 pounds of boost. And 55 pounds of boost, we started to get into a situation where we were pressurizing the cooling system. So we'd have a fresh engine, make a number of runs on it, start to develop pressure in the cooling system. This is using an OEM block, an OEM set of heads, and this same gasket configuration with the stainless wire protruding down into the gasket, which then protrudes the gasket into the cylinder block. It's a nice setup. But we were getting this problem over and over again, and we needed to fix it without having to re-engineer the whole engine. Well, we moved from an ARP 2000 material to an ARP 625 material, which applies about 6,000 pounds more clamp load, holding that head in place. And now the car has run over 65 pounds of boost without having the problem come back. So pretty exciting when you have a problem, you're facing a problem, it's not your tune-up, you're just deforming the parts and you need a fix, and you could have a fix in something as simple as a hardware change. I'm applying the ARP Ultra Torque Lube to the threads, to the bottom surface of the nut, and I'm going to install the washer, which is a cat's paw washer, which is going to grip into the cylinder head. That's going to be dry with the cat's paw down against the deck of the head. The Ultra Torque lubricant is the right balance of slippery and friction. If you had something that was ultra slippery, you could wind the nut on and it would rotate itself back off just like a spring. If you could imagine a bunch of little tiny ball bearings between the threads. So you don't want something that's too slick. You want something that repeats well. That way you don't have a bunch of torque scatter across the deck, and you want something that's going to be there for disassembly. So this has a fairly high melting point, where if you use a conventional lube, that conventional lube is going to run itself out of the threads as the engine goes through heat cycles. So it's not only an assembly lubricant to allow you to get the correct torque and the right amount of tension against the surfaces, but it's also going to be there when you take the engine back apart. This kit comes with ARP's cat's paw washer. So if you take a close look at this washer, it's serrated with these little peaks and valleys that are going to bite into the cylinder head, keeping the washer from rotating as you torque the head in place. My friends at ARP sent me a 100-9945, which is a installation tool for a head stud kit. So as you're installing the head stud, you can move the head stud independently of the nut with this tool, making sure that you don't have the stud over tightened in the block. The head stud kit will be installed, torqued to 3 equal steps to 150 foot-pounds. So first pass is 50 foot-pounds, second pass is 100 foot-pounds, and the third and final pass is 150 foot-pounds. In case you don't understand what I'm doing with this tool, this allows me to turn the nut independently of the stud. So I can run the stud down into the block to where it's bottomed, back it off, quarter turn, and then tighten the nut down. Now I don't have to worry about the stud turning, and I don't have any preload on the top threads of the stud. The load can be dispersed evenly down the stud threads into the block. Well, that concludes the installation of ARP's 256-4304. Here at FFRE, it's normal practice for them to use the ARP 2000 studs if a customer is looking to make 1500 horsepower. If they're going to push towards that 2000 horsepower plus mark, they put them in a 625 kit because it's cheaper to spend the extra money on hardware on the front end than to have a problem with the engine once it's in service. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.